Howdy there, YouTube. Today we're going to be doing a pretty simple transmission mount change on a rear-wheel drive car, front engine. My particular car is an AMC Eagle, so this should fit most older style kind of cars. The transmission mount I have right now kind of just flattened out. Kind of unfortunate because it is brand new, but it's a quick change. And I figured maybe I'll make a little video just to help anyone interested in getting some tips and clues and maybe just a general how-to kind of tackle the job. Alright, here, let's get some light on this situation. We're underneath the car. There's the transmission mount itself. Doesn't look bad until you consider looking at the other one. It's hard to see an angle on it. There's a new one. And there's another new one. As you can see, it's looking a little bit more flat. It's so flat that my T-case is actually rubbing on the skid plate. You can see I put a little piece of foam in there just to keep it from vibrating under my seat so bad. It's kind of weird. Anyway, it's pretty much right there out in the open. Pretty easy to get to. Now, there's really just two quick ways you can pretty much go at this. Firstly, you can just kind of jack up the transmission, put like a little jack stand just to support it. And underneath of here, you'll have two bolts. That kind of holds the transmission mount to the transmission. And then you got 4 bolts sitting on the top side of it, on each corner. Now you can get at it without really removing this cross member, but I think I might remove this cross member just to be able to get in there easier, because right at that point you pretty much got so little working room. It's definitely possible to get out with a ratchet, but I remember doing that way once, and it was kind of difficult to get in there and see what you're doing, and just end up taking so long. The cross member is super easy to unbolt. It's just 4 bolts, and then I got the skid plate out of the way, and then you can kind of work it around the exhaust over there. You just got to do the same thing of supporting the transmission, which you're going to do either way. And of course you got to get the 2 bolts, and then you can just drop this whole thing out, and then the 4 bolts will be right there. But in this case, I have to do some work on the mount itself. As you can see, it's got some studs welded into it. AMC Eagles use the same mount for manual transmission and automatic transmission. And the only one you can buy is the manual transmission, which has these studs welded onto it already. So you just gotta cut the welds, hammer it out, and then you got an automatic transmission mount. And hopefully this one will last more than 3 years, unlike that one. So I'll be starting off by modifying my mount. I'll probably try to remember to put an annotation, like, I don't know, here, just to skip ahead. So cutting studs off, yeah, I don't know. It's easy. I don't know how else to put it. You could use a cutoff wheel, maybe preferably really worn out, but as you can see it's pretty bulky. It might do the trick, but you'll probably cut your mount and look like an idiot. A larger one, obviously, is just not even possible. But if you use like a little carbide bit, as you can see, you can get in there pretty well and cut it out. Be sure to wear your safety things, Walmart gloves, which are very, very high quality. And of course have your vape rig in view of your camera shot, just so people can rage for some reason. And have your air Dremel, which you probably don't have, sucks for you. And just cut it, which you will not see because I don't have a third arm, just to annoy you. Alright, I guess I'll just show you a little bit of it. One-handed. Get on this other one here. See, that's why I don't film it. I need 2 hands. Note the safety devices being used. Yeah, see? A lot easier, just 2 hands in use. Little tiny stud. Scrap metal. And there's your hole. Only 3 more to go. Before we start raging, yeah, I am. Don't worry. Don't rage. Alright, well there you go. Pretty quick work to cut off those little 4 studs. Most of you probably won't have to do that unless you own this. And of course, with its downside of having to modify your mount, it does have the upside where you don't have to jack up your car to get at where you're trying to get at. For the rest of you that do have to jack up your car, mix up my words again, use jack stands. I mean, I don't think I have to show you how to jack up a car, do I? If I have to do that, you should probably reconsider doing any sort of mechanical work on your car. But yeah, otherwise jack up your car and you can get started. Man, you know, every time I turn on this camera I have to stop my music. Copyright. How fun. Anyway, we're back underneath the comfiest place in the world, your car. And, well, let's start tearing this thing apart. I got a little just basic jack holding up the transmission transfer case. For those who don't have a transfer case, just put it on the end of your transmission, or alternatively, put a block of wood supported kind of around the corners, maybe diagonally, just to avoid crushing it in, and you can jack it up right there just to get the pressure off. Not really using a jack stand because there's really not a lot of space, just a prop jack stand, you know. But if you want to be super safe, you can do that. I mean, even if this thing does fail, the transmission isn't heavy at all. I literally had to hold it up to get it in there, because I have taken it out before. So it's not really a concern for me, but if you do have like a really big old beefy transmission transfer case combo, it's probably not a bad idea. And for as far as what to take apart, we got 5 bolts on the skid plate here, which is connected to the cross member. And they all share the same size bolt, 9/16. So this ain't it. Oh, yeah, it's already on my tool. 9/16, even on the cross member. And then you got 5/8, which this is. Helps if I read it first, which is up in there somewhere. And then I think the bolts on that might be 9/16. We'll see. But this may seem like you're doing a lot more just to get what you're getting, because you can probably be like, well, I can just get in there. Well, I've done that before, and it's just such a pain in the butt. You'll actually save time by removing more out of the way. And this applies to a lot of things, automotive or anything you're working on in general. It sometimes saves you time by taking more time, taking more things apart, if that makes any kind of sense to you guys. And yes, keep wearing your gloves, and of course keep wearing your safety glasses, because things under here are not so healthy if they fall in your eyes. Or, you know, tetanus shots for rust cuts. You know the old deal. And I know you guys love to watch things happen, so... It's currently spinning the wrong way. There we go. Air ratchet makes things faster. I have a breaker bar ready though, just in case. Because sometimes these things are tight. See how easy that is with a nice power tool? And you could literally get this at Tractor Farm and Supply, or maybe even like Harbor Freight if you got one near you, for like $20. Cheap old tools. Maximum recording size. So, well, guys, I might have to skip a few parts in this. That's weird. This is what happens when you try to record shit on your phone. Oh, there you go. That's 2 bolts. You've seen enough. I want to make sure I got enough film for you guys later on. But anyway, air ratchet. $20, cheap old tool. Works pretty much well enough for anyone that's non-professional, really. Well, there you got it. A couple bolts out for the transmission mount and the skid plate out of the way. Pretty simple stuff. Can't show you it all because I need 2 hands and no cameraman and no camera mount for a freaking phone. Anyway, the importance of having a breaker bar demonstrated with this stud nut right here. See, that's pretty tight. That's where you use this breaker bar, break it loose, and then this whole cross member, after 4 bolts, you can just simply work around that little exhaust right there. Just kind of work your way out and it'll all come out. And I'll return to you when I get this thing out. It's just simply 4 bolts and then you wrestle this thing out. It's not even that heavy. There we are, guys. Cross member is unbolted. I couldn't get it to fit around that damn exhaust. I thought I did so in the past, but maybe it's because I had the exhaust out. I don't know. But it doesn't matter, the end goal is already achieved. As you can see, we got plenty of room to work around. It only took us, you know, literally a minute extra time just to unbolt it. Not a huge ordeal. 9/16 size again, so that's pretty convenient. I just need to get a shorter well, and I'll probably have to use a manual ratchet or just simply use a wrench. It's still going to be a little bit tighter on up in there. As you can see, it's close to humping that cross member for the exhaust. Yeah, pretty simple. Like I said, it only takes a few extra minutes. Alright, well, transmission mount is, well, out. New one and old one, and we can start diagnosing the problem right away. You can see there's a lot of cracks. If it'll focus, you can see the cracks. I'll even cleaning off all the dirt. And I can move that with just my thumb pressure. This one, yeah, I suppose you can move it a little bit too. This one definitely feels a little softer already. And add to it, you can see the actual rubber separating from the metal itself. Alright, so assembly is pretty much straightforward. Just do everything you did in reverse. Sometimes it might be helpful to kind of take note of how the transmission mount was in there to begin with, because some of them might have a directional way they can only go in one way. Either way, if that's the case, you'll figure it out eventually on your application. But as you can see, just by dropping this cross member, you got so much room to play with. If this was still up there, you would be spending no less than 2 hours just trying to get the bolts back into their holes. But with like this, you can see very clearly and easily just where they're at. And with that, here I can put the light right there. You can go ahead and start putting in your bolts. I usually like to use hand tools or hands to start them, at least. In this case, we need a little bit of leverage. But yeah, you know, just work on it and get those bolts in there. You don't want to like start them off with power tools, because you'll just definitely destroy the threads. And speaking of which, especially like on your cross member bolts, I would definitely use a thread locker of some sort. Here, got some thread locker of a brand. I definitely would use that on these bolts, and I know from experience I'll use it on the bolts right here, because these ones like to work out. They just loosen up over time. I never had a problem with the transmission mount bolt, or yeah, the transmission mount bolts, because that kind of just rests on here, and if you get them snug, I think they'll pretty much sit in, but probably wouldn't be a bad idea, because the drivetrain does shake around and vibrate a lot. But definitely, if you did drop the cross member, get some high strength thread locker on there and get those bolts snugged up very well. And make sure when you are tightening the bolts to your actual transmission, it might not be aligned right away, and just don't be afraid to grab like a pry bar and just kind of move the transmission around a little bit. In this case, you know, you can even probably pick it up and just kind of nudge it just to get the bolts lined up. You'll probably have to do that just to get it where you need to, and don't try to over tighten the bolts into like an aluminum housing, because you'll easily strip those threads like way easier than you think you will. Just get them snug, you know, like no tighter than your drain pan. You know, it doesn't have to be super duper tight. It just more or less just keeping the transmission kind of in line. It's not too crucial to have those super duper tight. You'll definitely destroy the threads in an aluminum housing, and that will be practically, well, it's not impossible, but it would be very, very, very difficult. Alrighty guys, so everything's coming along. Of course, this is the part where you're going to hit your the snafu, is getting those last couple bolts from your mount and your cross member and all that to line up with your transmission. Chances are it's not going to line up, like the case you can see here. Now, as I said, don't be afraid to be nudging your transmission around, and yeah, I need a crowbar this size. Fortunately, if I can hold it, I can get the bolts lined up, but they're like that far off. I just gotta nudge like the whole transmission and cross member a little bit. You know, move the transmission forward, cross member backwards, and I'll get it lined up. So it will work. It just takes a bit of nudging. I even tried loosening up the mount bolts, and let me tell you, oh my god, that takes forever. I had to bust out my stubby wrench. You can see it, just to try to get some room in there. Yeah, that would be pretty much impossible to remove that mount. Well, not actually impossible, but you know, the rule of saying things, you know, it's so difficult, it might as well be impossible. So definitely remove the cross member if you can. It's so much easier. But yeah, just trying to find some area where you can wedge it. And you can see, if I could do this one-handed, you can kind of get an idea of just how much you can nudge it over. Maybe. Everything shakes a bit, sorry. But yeah, just get yourself a good crowbar. Hold it with one hand, and then try to use your other hand to get the bolt started in there. And of course, make sure you pre-Loctite them, and yeah, if you get one bolt in far enough, it should hold itself together. Loosening up your crossmember bolts really won't help, because like your crossmember is kind of a set in stone kind of thing. Yeah, there's like no room for error or anything. so that won't help. But the mount will have a little bit of play, as you can see. Just a little bit. Not enough to make a massive difference though. So once you're over that little roadblock, get those bolts in there and everything else tightened up. It's just whatever skid plate or whatever you guys have left, and there you got it. So just a little bit more. 3 hours in so far for me. Of course, I spent a lot of time digging around, just looking for shit to stuff in there just in case. And of course, talking to you guys. Come on, focus. Spider bro. Spider bro. Spider bro. Spider bro. There he is looking at me. What's this? He's just like ignoring it. Anyway, I had him looking at me earlier, like kind of dancing around. Anyway, get the little vape going. Mission successful. Yeah, what else is there to say? But anyway, as you can see, maybe if I get enough light in there, yeah, you can kind of see. Transfer case no longer hits a skid plate. That is no longer necessary. So yeah, bad transmission mount causing issues. Beep. He's kind of looking around like, what? You seen that he was kind of looking up at it, moving his arms. Yeah, whatever. I'll stop bothering him. He's looking at me. Whatever. Alright, I'll stop messing with the spider. Anyway, job's pretty much done. Now you just clean up and maybe take it for a test drive. One thing I will recommend before ending the video is after you've driven around maybe a couple times or gone after your test drive, I would say after a few drives, just go back under there and just kind of check your bolts, make sure they're stay tightening. If you see any that's kind of loosening up and you didn't put thread locker on them, definitely just throw some thread locker on there and it should solve any issues with you having, bolts loosen up. I'm slurring my words because I work night shifts and it's about damn 12 o'clock in the afternoon, so I'm pretty damn tired and worn out. Anyway, there it is. It's done. Pretty simple, just basic. It varies a lot between cars. This one is perfectly suited for anyone owning an older car that's rear-wheel drive, front engine. Anyone with front engine, mid-engine, rear drive, that's completely different. And a lot of you with front engine, rear drive, there's going to be some differences. Maybe your transmission actually hangs off with top mounts. I was saying just before I got interrupted by my phone, no, you can't record more. It varies a lot between designs with transmissions, but it's kind of the same principle. You might have to remove a cross member to get some access. And if you do have one of those ones, I guess, where it might hang from the top, maybe with top mounted mounts, I think that BMW would have something like that. Because, Eagle, what you would pretty much have to do in case it's a hard reach area is get a bunch of these universal joints coupled together with a bunch of extensions, and you'll just have to kind of build yourself a line of extensions just wrapping around with a socket, and you'll eventually get to it. I don't know how, if they come apart in whole mounts, or if you replace the worker parts. And like I said, it varies a lot. Refer to your manual, or maybe look up actual vehicle specific. This one would be obviously specific to AMC Eagle, AMC Gremlin, AMC Concorde, AMC Hornet, AMC Spirit. Yeah. Any others? Probably just about every AMC built, I guess. But specifically the Eagle, Eagle Spirit based one, the SX4, the AMC Spirit, the AMC Gremlin, the AMC Concorde, and the AMC Hornet models. All the same thing, basically. So anyway, I'll definitely end it here now. Thanks for watching. I don't know what the popular YouTubers say. Smash the comment button. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.